I am honored to introduce the current FABA president, Corey Robertson. Not everybody knows that Corey started his career as a theater major. I know, hard to believe because he's so shy. I'm not sure what changed his mind, but he switched his major to psychology and completed his undergraduate degree in 1995 from FSU, where he was first exposed to behavior analysis. When I met Corey 7 years later, in 2002, he was working as a middle school teacher with emotionally handicapped middle schoolers in Orange County schools. He knew a lot about managing behavior problems, but didn't consider himself a behavior analyst at that time. A year later, he was a BCABA. He had caught the behavior analysis bug. His passion for furthering his career and cementing his identity as a behavior analyst led him to complete a Master's of Science in Behavior Analysis and OBM at FIT in 2007. As one of the star graduate students, he was quickly hired by ABA Technologies, or FIT, depending on what time frame you're looking at, to teach the online courses required for certification. His entertaining teaching style and his knack for explaining concepts in easily understandable ways have made him one of the most sought-after instructors in that program, or co-instructors in that program. Corey's identity as a professional behavior analyst and his passion for spreading the gospel of behavior analysis also extends to his involvement in managing several behavior analysis Facebook pages and his very own behaviorguy.com webpage. He provides information about behavior analysis to the public, to other professionals. And he also sells t-shirts. If you haven't seen them or bought one, some of the t-shirts are really cute. They have ABA different slogans like warning, graphic content with a picture of a graph on it. Or behavior analysts do it consistently. And the one I have a little objection to, which is behavior analysts do it contingently, and it's only offered in women's sizes. Anybody who's a feminist, talk to him. I'm eager to hear what he has to say today, so I'm going to turn over the mic to Corey. Corey.
Excited to be here. You guys excited to be here in Daytona Beach? Man, we have a lot of great conference memories here, don't we? We're actually, this is our last year in this hotel. We've got too big. So many people here. Look at this crowd, people. You've never seen anything like this, with just a few exceptions. I'll tell you, the fake news is going to say differently, but we know. Hey, thank you, Sharon Older, for such a wonderful introduction. Got me out of breath. I also want to give a big hand to Nikki Dickens, our program chair and incoming president, for all the work that she does. And I want to give a big hand to Lee Stellick and Leslie and her staff and volunteers for all the work that they do. Is she here? No, I swear I'm not going to do that the whole time, I promise. Wow. I feel privileged to be here in the presence of some of the leaders in our field, including our fantastic invited speakers. individuals who have shaped the profession and our professional organization, some of our founding members. Can we hear from them? I feel privileged to be here in the presence of all of our great university professors who work to create the next generation of professionals and who prolifically produce research that increases our understanding of human behavior and improves our practice. Can we hear from our professors? And while we're at, how about our university program? We have the FSU people in the house. How about FAU, Florida Atlantic? No? FIU? Florida International? Do you have FIU people? Okay. How about NOVA? NOVA people? All right. How about Rollins? Rollins? All right. Wear them Gators, University of Florida. Yeah. Hey, how about UM? Any University of Miami people? They have a program too. Okay, fantastic. How about North Florida? They do have a program? All right. Yeah, they got a program. South Florida, our Tampa people. West Florida, any UWF folks? Hey, all right. And how about my Florida Tech family? So many great programs in this state, and there should be, because you know the profession started right here in Florida. I really am most privileged to be here in the presence of and to have represented all of you caring professionals. You who tirelessly pursue excellence for the clients you serve. You who deal with insurance regulations and traffic and canceled appointments and late nights writing reports that you can't get paid for, all in the interest of changing lives, right? Because that's what you do for a living. That's what we do. We change lives for a living. Give yourselves a hand. You know, the very last time we were here in Daytona, we celebrated FABA's 35th anniversary, and we honored our past presidents. And as I look at this photo, I have the same thought I did when I was nominated to this position, the same thought I had when I was elected. How the hell did I get here? Now, there is the small detail that in that election, I did run unopposed.
Well, Homer, I guess you're the winner by default. Default? Woohoo! The two sweetest words in the English language. Default, default, default. Where'd you get that anyway? Sent away?
So that's how I got it. But, you know, I was honestly amazed and honored that anybody would put me in charge of such a fine organization. I mean, I just don't feel like I fit the bill. To provide you some supporting data, here is a graph of the number of my publications in behavior analytic journals per year. And here is the number of PhD students I produce per year. So I'm not a tenured professor. I'm not an esteemed researcher. But I have had the extraordinary privilege of being a lead co-instructor for Florida Tech's online professional development program. And here's a rough estimate of the number of students who have come through just my sections each year. So in that capacity, I have had the honor of being able to touch the lives of thousands through this fantastic science and helping in some small way to shape the next generation. I'm just a guy who loves ABA. I love thinking about ABA. I love talking about ABA. I love spreading the word about ABA. That's honestly about all I bring to the table. But speaking of that table, there are some wonderful, amazing people sitting at that table, serving on your board of directors, not only appointing this conference, but serving the profession of behavior analysis in this state. It has been a privilege to serve alongside brilliant, ethical problem solvers, because that's what behavior analysts are, right? And going to meetings with problem solvers is really fun. We have 3 to 4 all-day meetings every year, and the time just flies in those meetings, I swear. But I feel especially privileged to have served on this board with and to have directly followed our past president, Sharon Older. Because you see, Sharon Older is my ABA mom. She gave me my first job in this field. If I could have told my 20-year-old self that someday I'd be serving on the board of a professional organization, that I would even be a professional, I don't think I would have believed me. You see, I didn't have a clue what I wanted to do with my life in undergrad, except maybe eat, sleep, rave, repeat. You know, I mean, that's what 20-year-olds do, right? But I did make one good choice, as Sharon mentioned, in my undergraduate years. I changed majors from theater, because I decided I didn't want to wait tables for a living, to psychology. And I selected performance management as my emphasis track because I couldn't see myself listening to people complain on a couch in my office for years. The idea that there was a job where you could make other people's jobs better through the principles of behavioral science sounded really cool. So that was my first introduction to ABA, and to the director of the PM program, John Bailey. Maybe you've heard of him. And the principles made sense to me, but I really did just not have my head in the game in undergrad. I remember my last semester, Dr. Bailey went over the syllabus for behavior analysis in business and industry. And he had a rubric of what you had to do to get an A in his class, what you had to do to get a B, right? It was all task analyzed, all objective. And my slacker self sat in that class and said, best I'm going to do in here is a B. You know? And when I graduated, I just knew that there was no way that Opera Daniels International was going to hire me with my bleached blonde hair and my earrings. And that was the end of ABA for me. I moved to Orlando, and I kept applying for these manager trainee positions. That sounded like a good job to go into that I would find in a paper, but I found out that really means selling Kirby vacuums and knives. And I had a one-day nightmare where they put me in a car, they drove me from Orlando to Daytona Beach. They opened the trunk and it was filled with stuffed animals that they wanted me to sell to beauty salons and strip malls. But I finally got a job through a friend doing general contracting, where, you know, at least if I wasn't using my psychology degree, I was using the skills with hand tools that I had developed in my 2 years as a theater major. And then I married my best friend, Lori, who's actually here today with my daughter. Thank you, David, for all your support over the years. Then, you know, the responsibility of providing for her and our infant son made me realize I needed to do more. I needed a job where they paid me over the table. I needed a job where I maybe had some insurance benefits, and maybe where I could use my brain instead of my back. So I went to Orange County Public Schools because I heard they were desperate for teachers. And indeed they were. Now they told me, you know, with my psych degree I could basically search the obituaries for job positions, or I could teach out of field, either in technology or ESE. And I said, what's ESE? And they said, kids with behavior problems. And I said, aha, that sounds like something I might be prepared to deal with. Ha! They put me in a class of 3rd and 4th graders with no background in education, no teaching experience, no clue as to what I was supposed to teach or how I was supposed to teach it, and the added challenge that these children were constantly trying to beat each other up and sometimes me up. But immediately the concepts I needed to manage the behavior of my students came back to me. I used sticker sheets, I used a point system, I developed a level system, and I survived for 4 years. Until one day a counselor who was serving my students in my classroom came to me and said, you know, my agency hires behavior analysts, right? That do all this behavior stuff you're doing all day. And I said, wait, there's jobs in this? Which brought me to Sharon Older at Intervention Services in 2002. She hired me as a behavior analyst, and then I really got to witness the power of this profession, right? The power to change lives. But of course, the old cliche goes that with great power comes great responsibility, right? The responsibility to be fully competent, the responsibility to learn as much as you could, and of course, the continuous regard for your ethical responsibilities, which, you know, back then were just guidelines. You know. Sharon told me I'd want to get certified as a BCABA, and to do that, I needed to go see a guy named Jose. Yeah. So I took my initial coursework with Jose on 12 consecutive Saturdays, in different locations around Orlando that he would procure from his connections in the area. A couple of times, actually, Tom Friedman subbed for Jose, which allowed me to hear the phrase, if you're not graphing, you're not doing ABA. Tom also taught me the core ethical principle of professional self-doubt, that we're not as great as we sometimes like to think we are, so we always need to be improving. Thank you, Jose, and thank you, Tom, for everything that you taught me. Cindy Roshami, who was working for Intervention Services at the time, taught me the meaning of the technological dimension. If you move to Hawaii tomorrow, she would say, I shouldn't have to call you to find out what you were doing and how to take over your case. I was so fortunate to have my behavior shaped by these individuals. Not only great, ethical, fluent behavior analysts, but genuinely amazing human beings. And it is a privilege now to call them my colleagues and my friends. And that's one of the things that makes this career amazing, right? That we are inspired, we are called to it by the examples of our mentors. And I, for one, couldn't have asked for better people to emulate as I developed into a profession. Well, it didn't take me long to realize that this is what my calling was. I love this field, I get it, I was good at it, and I wanted to take it to the next level. I asked Dr. Yoshami if I should get a master's in mental health, if only to be more well-rounded. She gave me a great piece of advice. She said, no. She says, and I say that not as a behavior analyst, but as someone who knows you want to support your family. So thank you, Sydney. I'm happy to say that I got my degree from Jose's program at Florida Tech, and I am still supporting my family. I think one of the challenges to getting into this field at this point, if you're a new behavior analyst or a recent behavior analyst, is the catch-up, right? We've got the responsibility to learn over 50 years of history and research when we start out in this field, names and faces to learn, and that's in addition to the concepts and principles. I admit I'm a little jealous of those who've been here since the beginning, who experienced the birth of this field. They didn't have to learn about it in textbooks or on the internet. They were making history, teaching nurses to implement behavioral strategies with psychiatric patients, getting Dickie to wear his glasses, increasing safety in an open pit mine using green stamps as reinforcers, developing toilet training methods that parents are still using to this day. And all the new language that we had to learn, right? SD, S delta, establishing operation, abolishing operation. And what's that? A conditioner of a condition? Yeah. But you practice that language as much as you can with your fellow students after class, right? Your colleagues at work. You absorb it like a sponge. But most importantly, you can apply what you were learning in your job. And you see the incredible difference it made in your clients' lives, right? You guys remember that? And then I attended my first conference, FABA. You remember your first conference? Were you excited to actually see the people who had been reading about in your textbooks and in the journal articles? You're going to get to hear them speak in person. And then you get there, and these people who use all this precise language and technical jargon, these pioneering scientists, they're all hippies. I mean, I was sort of exposed to Jose in his Hawaiian shirts and sandals. He wasn't the only one wearing them. Even some of the guys in suits were sporting sandals. I mean, after all, this is the Florida Association, right? As my mentor at Blakely once said, this is science without a dress code. I watched Jack Michael play ping pong at my first conference. Did you know we had a ping pong tournament at FABA years ago? Jack, to me, is the epitome of this paradox I'm talking about. I don't know how many of you have read Concepts and Principles, but this is a challenging book. Jose made us read it. That book is very, very challenging, but I understand that it is so internationally popular that there is talk of translating it into English. Jack actually inspired my first T-shirt. I made this shirt in grad school. I don't know if you guys read the back. It says, I have no clue what the thief this man is talking about. And my fellow students said, oh, we got to wear those to FABA. And I said, holy crap, Jack Michael's going to sue me for using his language. So I cold emailed him. I said, hi, I'm a student of Jose's, and this is kind of like our stress relief, and would you mind terribly if we did these? His response, where's mine? This guy was cool. This picture is one of my prized possessions. This is FABA. Right? In grad school, FABA's a party, right? I mean, yeah, maybe you're nervous about a poster you put together, or your symposium presentation that you've been running on an infinity loop in your head for the past 2 weeks. But look at all these people at the hotel bar. It's a superhero convention with actual superheroes, and you can buy them a beer. Is that Brian Iwata? Quick, let's get a selfie. Did I just bump into Mark Sundberg at the hospitality suite? Hell, Jack Michael taught me everything I need to know about sign language as an interverbal with a glass of Chardonnay in his hand in a hotel lobby. What he actually said was, point-to-point correspondence is fucking point-to-point correspondence. I'm not making that up. That's what he said. He keeps it real. And the social every year, right? You guys excited for the social tonight? Having a party? Oh, man. My favorite memories are the Asman family camping at the dance floor. Right? I was looking through my photos. Here's a picture of my son, and he's 7 years old at this time, dancing with Mrs. Asman in 2005. And here's a picture of me dancing with her last year in Fort Lauderdale. Now that's tradition, right? She's still going. And by noon Friday, your head is so full of information that you've absorbed and you're so hungover. And you're just mentally and physically exhausted, right? But it was worth it. It was worth it, right? And I'll give it to the millennials. You guys hang hard. I don't know how we extended this through Saturday. Now we're going even an extra day, but it works. There's so much great content, and you guys are not only consuming it, but many of you are contributing it. So keep it up. For whatever reason, I never presented a poster or a symposium in grad school. I was in the Orlando program at Florida Tech, which really was geared more towards working professionals. And I did a thesis, but it never actually occurred to me to present it. So for years, I attended FABA and never considered being a presenter. And then in 2010, do we still have volume on that? Okay. In 2010, I went to what I believe was the second or third Ignite session ever held. How many of you have been to an Ignite session? Let's see a hand. Oh, okay, lots of you. If you haven't had a chance, you got to check it out tonight. I've seen the best presenters trip up over the fast pace of these 5-minute presentations, right? It's always entertaining. Top it off on this one, Scott Geller, who was one of my ABA heroes, was presenting. So I get there early, I'm in the second row, and 5 minutes before Bailey starts off the session, Josh Pritchard turns to me and says, one of the presenters couldn't show, and would I present her talk for her? Man, this sounded crazy. I said, well, can I look at it first? He says, no. Well, there's a precedent apparently for wildcard rounds where people do each other's presentations. It sounded insane, but I did sense an opportunity. And did I mention I was a theater major? Right? I think a presenter's biggest fear is that someone's going to stand up in your talk and say, you don't have a clue what you're talking about. Well, the whole audience knew I didn't have a clue what I was going to say. And I was willing to see if my improv skills from high school had maintained.
So what do? We teach skills. What's a behavior analyst? What does a behavior analyst do? We teach skills. We teach replacement behaviors. It's a seesaw. You increase good behaviors, the behaviors you want to see, and the problem behaviors go away because you can't do two things at once. What about caregivers and siblings and etc.? Are we the change agents? No. They're part of it. The caregivers are part of the behavioral change, right? They're part of the problem. They have to be part of the solution. And a lot of the work I do, and I'm probably going to do, involves working with them. All right?
That's all I got to say with it.
I have no idea what they're going to say in this slide here, but everybody seems to be engaged. I think that's part of it. If I wasn't someone engaged, you got to sell yourself. You have to build rapport. And it's a skill a lot of people are lacking, and it's a skill a lot of people don't learn. And I think it can be taught. This cycle often continues. How many of you are frustrated with a parent, with a teacher, with a caregiver, who won't do the plan? And I know so many people who come straight out of grad school and know all this wonderful information and can't do anything about it because nobody cares out there. They want the fix. Like Aaron said, they want the fix and they want it in 6 weeks or less. So what do? Well, we have to change our strategies and think about the behavior change procedures that we know and who we actually have to apply them on. Right? It's the parents' behavior we're changing. It's the teacher's behavior we're changing. We got to work as a team.
So that was my first FABA presentation. But, you know, Ignite gave me a format in which I really felt like I could shine. Inspiring my peers, looking at the world with a behavioral lens, and a good dose of humor. Right? It's fun. And it turns out a lot of others have perfected this format. It doesn't diminish the science in our conference, but it increases our sense of identity, our sense of community. And it's been great to see the Ignite format continue to evolve, just as our conference continues to evolve, which really reflects how our field and our profession continues to evolve. So I hope that all of you will stick around tonight and check out our Ignite presenters. And if you haven't presented at FABA yet, I hope that you'll go home inspired to explore a research question in your line of work or study and present it to us, or put together a panel discussion and discuss important practice issues if you're a practitioner, or put together an ethics or supervision presentation. Everybody knows something about that, right? Or just have some fun and submit it Ignite. And then you have a graduate degree in ABA, right? You're a BCBA. And all of a sudden you're in charge. How the hell did that happen? You still want to go to your mentors and ask them questions, but now there's these new people asking you questions. I was so used to saying, well, what does Eb say? And now he's telling my supervisees, well, what does Corey say? You're so used to showing your professors and your supervisors how smart you are, but now that's not your job anymore. Your job is to get these new professionals to show you how smart they are. You still have the responsibility of providing the best care for your clients, but now you've inherited the responsibility of furthering the profession by training others. And we've made enormous strides in this area in the past few years with the supervisor training requirements and refinements to the experience standards. We still have a long way to go, right? And likely at this point, your career becomes a focus for you. You work so hard balancing school and work and maybe family, as I did, for the years of grad school, and now you're done. Well, at least you think you are, right? So maybe you advance within your company, or you set off on your own, you start your own company, or maybe you get an opportunity, like I did when a brand new offer, Jose offered me a full-time job at ABA Tech as a lead co-instructor. And you realize you're always learning. You're always improving, refining, honing your craft. Because not only do the clients require it, but the science requires it. The profession demands it. But that increased responsibility does come with some privileges. Respect, title, better pay. Maybe you feel like you finally mastered adulting. Heck, I finally got that convertible I always wanted. Right? This profession enables us not only to better the lives of others, it enables us to better our own lives. And FABA feels a little different at this point. Now you need a CE, so you need to wake up a little earlier. And you can't cut loose like you used to anyway because your staff and your supervisees and your students are watching you, right? I'm not saying we don't cut loose, I'm just saying we probably shouldn't. We definitely don't recover the way that we used to. But you attend more to the networking opportunities that FABA provides. I have connected with so many professionals from all over the country, even all over the globe, who come to FABA, who travel here because we put on such a great conference. Plus, it's a family reunion, right? You see your colleagues from school who move to other agencies, or maybe even other states, and you catch up at the hotel bar, of course. And you get more out of the presentations because it isn't just academic for you anymore, but you can apply it to what you're doing. And immersing yourself in the language for a weekend feels good. Immersing yourself in this community feels good, right? And you recharge professionally, and you travel home, ready to go back to work inspired, and ready to make a difference. So for me, FABA has never just been a conference. FABA is home. FABA is family. Take a minute and look around you. I'd like you to just take a look to your left and look to your right. These are your brothers and sisters. These are your father and mother figures. And we even have a few grandparents. You know who you are. Don't worry, you're still cool. You're still cool. You just have the privilege of being around long enough to see your students and supervisees produce students and supervisees. But you've also accepted the responsibility to stick around and make sure we don't screw it up too badly. We speak the same language. We experience the same frustrations. And we have the same passion for this science that changes the way we see the world irrevocably. And it allows us to change lives for a living. Right? We are behavior analysts. Now, one of the favorite ignites I've ever done really fits in here, so I hope you'll humor me. I'm going to put a little bit of it in here, but we're going to do some active audience responding time. So when I point to you, I want you to say, you might be a behavior analyst. Are you ready? We'll do one practice run.
You might be a behavior analyst.
All right, let's go. If you've ever cut a Skittles into 8 pieces,
You might be a behavior analyst.
yeah, and if you know the difference in the number of chews it takes to complete a baby goldfish cracker versus a regular goldfish cracker, you're a behavior analyst. Yeah. If your computer recognizes terms like man and cat because you've already saved them in your computer's dictionary, and if you have to constantly fix the word celebration because that's autocorrect,
You might be a behavior analyst.
there you go. If you have to resist the urge to hand out your business card at Little League or Walmart, you might be a behavior analyst. There you go. If you've ever heard a stranger give specific praise to her child outside of a grocery store, and you actually praise that stranger for doing it, I heard the words, good delivery of specific praise. If you do that,
You might be a behavior analyst.
if you've ever spent your entire workday in a bathroom And if when you say you had a crappy day at work, you meant it literally. If you have a mnemonic device to remember which piece of the Velcro goes where, and if you've ever participated in or read an entire thread on Facebook group regarding Velcro, if a child has spent 20 minutes trying to bite you, kick you, spit at you, and you think, I've seen worse, and you're excited to see how the data will look on the graph, you might be a behavioral analyst. And if you wear your scratches, bruises, and bite marks like some sort of red badge of courage, like you've been initiated into the ABA club, you might be a behavioral analyst. If the initials WTF mean something entirely different to you, and if just hearing the word sensory makes you engage in self-injurious behavior, you might be a behavioral analyst. Yeah. If you get excited for your annual convention in July and it's not until the following May, you might be. And if you think that people like Jose Martinez Diaz, Gina Green, Mark Sundberg, and Pat Fryman are celebrities, and you get starstruck when asking them to take pictures at a conference, you might be. If you collect latency data at stoplights, in fact, if you collect data at any place outside of work, you're already there. Yeah. If you've conducted an experimental analysis on your cat's behavior and presented the data at a conference, you know who you are. If you get irritated at the inaccuracies regarding behavioral principles illustrated in CBS's Big Bang Theory, but you get excited when you hear they're consulting with the B.F. Skinner Foundation for the next script, and you get exasperated when they still don't get it right. You might be a behavioral analyst. If your lunch has ever consisted entirely of someone else's reinforcers, it might be. If you love what you do for a living, because what you do is change lives. One more time. That's who we are, right? We are all privileged to live and work in a state that has been at the forefront of the profession since nearly the beginning. In 1972, the Sunland Miami scandal threatened this field. Atrocities had been committed in the name of behavior modification that anybody well-trained in this field knew had nothing to do with our science or our practices. Behavior analysts in this state answered the call to action, establishing standards of practice that are still in place to this day, like local review committees, which you don't find in every state, even today, and an accountability system for those serving our most vulnerable populations. The Agency for Persons with Disabilities started training programs for those practicing behavior analysis, at least with our most vulnerable populations, which led to the development of a certification exam, which led to a formal state certification. They fought to protect the practice of ABA and ensure that there would be enough professionals to meet the demands via exemptions within the licensure laws for psychology and mental health. The Florida Association for Behavior Analysis was formed in 1980, and in 1988, FABA adopted the first code of ethics specific to behavior analysis, which then evolved into the Guidelines for Responsible Conduct and into our current code. Florida served as a model for certification in behavior analysis, loaning that certification exam to states like Pennsylvania and Texas and Oklahoma, until we got so big that an independent certification board, the BACB, was formed. It wasn't too long ago that the BACB's home address was Tallahassee, Florida. We have one of the largest concentrations of verified course sequences by state and the largest concentration of ABAI accredited graduate programs. And so many prominent behavior analysts call our state home. Too many to mention. But if you've attended past conferences, you know how vast our homegrown talent is. And when you travel to other state conferences or to our international conference, you are sure to see familiar faces. Our keynote speakers and our past presidents represent a who's who of behavior analysis. People who not only shape the science through their research and application contributions, but they forged a profession, giving us an identity and enabling us to make a difference in the lives of others, providing a quality of life that for many was once thought impossible. So that's how we got here. We were privileged to benefit from the mantle of responsibility that our founding members accepted. Individuals just like us who cared, who saw the potential that this amazing science provides, and who took action to ensure that the practice was protected and insured against incompetence. We were privileged to benefit from the examples of our mentors, who instilled in us the responsibility to establish and maintain competence, to diligently evaluate the ethical implications of our every action, and above all, the responsibility to make a difference. And I believe that every one of us, everyone here, lives that day in and day out for the clients we serve. But we also have a responsibility to the profession. A responsibility to uphold and advance the values and ethics and principles of the profession of behavior analysis. An obligation to participate in behavior analytic professional and scientific organizations and activities. And a responsibility to promote behavior analysis by making information about it available to the public. So we come to the conference, which also satisfies our responsibility to maintain competence, right? And many of you provide workshops or other presentations to parents or community members. Many of us utilize social media to share our worldview with our communities. Although I think too often we're preaching to the choir, right? We're disseminating amongst ourselves. But does this really further the profession? I suggest that in our next evolution of our ethical code, we address the responsibility that behavior analysts have to promote the profession through public policy, to serve our clients through legislative pressure, and to participate in professional and scientific organizations in measurable ways, in leadership roles. We have it good here in Florida. I always joke that if you throw a rock in any direction in Florida, you'll hit a behavior analyst. But that's not really true. We are far from saturation. In the most rural areas of our state, families are still desperate for services, right? We have a protected right to practice through the current exemptions in Chapter 490 and 491, the licensure acts for psychologists and mental health providers, but we don't have licensure ourselves. 28 states in this country now have licensure. Texas has licensure. Texas. When you realize that the profession of behavior analysis started here in Florida, it's an outrage that we're no longer leading this movement. It's an outrage. We have a new Medicaid behavior analysis service rolling out. I know a lot of you are familiar with that. And it doesn't limit us to working only with individuals with autism, which is good. But the specifics for the provision of that service and who can provide it is far from ideal. And public schools in our state are far from having behavior analysis services be the norm rather than the exception. So how do we improve the services in our state? How do we protect and advance our profession and our practice? How do we influence our legislators who need to know that budget cuts to services are unacceptable, that rates need to be sustainable, that consumers need to be protected from untrained individuals who want to say they do ABA because it's in demand? How do we accomplish this? By coming together. By working together so that our voice is singular and resounding. By making FABA strong. 4 years ago, I decided I could just do a little more. I'm privileged to have a great job where I teach and provide supervision from my home office. And yes, I enjoy interacting with others and disseminating through the Behavior Guide Facebook page and the various Facebook groups I'm a member or an admin of. But I felt like it was time to do more. So I put myself out there. I nominated myself for a member at large, and I let my friends and colleagues know that if they would nominate me, I was willing to serve. It meant that FABA started at Wednesday at noon with a 4-hour meeting. It meant that I would spend a little less time catching up with my friends at lunch and more time making sure things were running smoothly or helping out. It meant waking up a little earlier and seeing if they needed help at the registration desk or in the bookstore. But it also meant getting to rub elbows with our invited speakers and getting to thank them for their contributions personally. It meant making that 4-hour drive to Tallahassee a couple of times a year. And I'm happy to say it only meant one speeding ticket. Thank you, Madison County Sheriff's Department, for reminding me you don't speed in Madison County. And yeah, I meant the monthly phone call or a couple of emails a month. But just basically saying, what else can I do to help? What can I do? I feel like it's been a privilege to serve because who we're serving is you. We aren't FABA. We are FABA. And serving on the board or serving on a committee means serving us. It means helping your family, right? It has been an eye-opening experience for me. Getting to see how much work goes into putting this conference together, from negotiating multi-year contracts with hotels and making sure we hear our food and beverage requirements, taking over 100 submissions and organizing them into a 4-day event. And of course, we have to make sure that Merrill's presentations are in a soundproof room large enough to keep the fire marshal from evicting us, right? Did any presenters get scheduled at 2 different places at the same time? If not, you can thank Nikki and the program committee. So many hours of hard work going into putting this together. You wouldn't believe it. I was amazed at their process. But it's a labor of love. And in the past few years, the legislative committee has been really active, trying to get licensure for behavior analysis passed. And we haven't succeeded yet. But we are not giving up. We are not giving up. Eric Prutzman has been our political shaman, advising us on the best course of action, giving us the pulse on the Florida political scene, which I'm sorry to say is just as dysfunctional as the rest of the country. But Mary Riordan and Gretchen Thwing and Sharon Older and Elaine Cruz and many others have driven across the state, sometimes at a moment's notice, to show up to hearings and defend our right to practice and ensure that the services for our clients are protected and improved. Now, I've never really historically been involved much in politics, but being on this board has awakened me. You have to be politically aware. And I don't just mean at the local or state level, but at the national level as well. Because we work in healthcare. Because we are scientists. And these fields are being threatened like never before. It has been a privilege to get to see how important these issues really are, and to work alongside these amazing professionals who've accepted the responsibility to take action. And the board of directors isn't the only ones taking action. Our local chapters have been thriving and growing, and new local chapters are forming. They've come together to plan a one-day conference in Orlando, which has been an overwhelming success 2 years running. Right? These local chapters give our professionals a chance to hone their leadership skills. Not only in planning the conferences, but in reaching out to the communities and in providing a place for professionals to connect throughout the year. Yeah, earning CEs occasionally, but more importantly, supporting each other and supporting the profession. I want to congratulate and thank these local chapters for their continued commitment to behavior analysis in Florida and to the local communities of behavior analysts. We give a shout out to the Association for Behavior Analysis of Brevard, the Bay Area Association, the Capital Association, Emerald Coast, First Coast, Gold Coast, and the Sun Coast Association. We also have a new chapter forming in Pensacola, the Northwest Association. I want to point out also that we need an official chapter in my hometown of Orlando. Go ABBA is just a dream right now, but we want to make it a reality. And I'd love to see Me ABBA, the Miami Association, become a local chapter, form a local chapter. These organizations are the roots of FABA. And when we need to take political action, when we need parents to testify in hearings or to contact their representatives, it's these local chapters that are going to be critical. I truly believe that the local chapters are the key to the success of FABA in the future. And that's why I have wholeheartedly supported Kim Lucka-Green and Matt Potak to support and grow these individual communities and help them, and in turn, help FABA to thrive. So I hope that as you enjoy this conference, as you revel in the community that we have the privilege of being members of, as you recharge your professional batteries, you will reflect on the responsibilities that these privileges require. The responsibilities to your clients, the responsibilities to your colleagues, and the responsibilities to the profession. And that you come away wanting to do just a little more. Do more for your clients each and every day. Do more for your community. This month is Behavior Analysis Month in FABA. We've expanded it from 1 week to an entire month in October. So it's a great time to draw some attention to our field. Get the word out. Engage in some community service projects. Join your local chapter this year and get involved. Or start a local chapter if your area doesn't already have one. Do more for the planet. Many behavior analysts are getting involved in sustainability and other efforts where behavior change can have a huge impact. Do more for the profession. Consider joining one of the FABA committees. You don't have to be an elected representative to help, and we can always use the help. Consider running for member at large, or one of our other positions. And for goodness sake, participate in the elections. Remember, FABA is not a conference, and FABA is not an elite group of individuals electing themselves to the board every year. FABA is you. FABA is me. FABA is family. And families look out for each other, right? Families take care of each other. This year, do a little more.